All right, we are back here on the podcast getting ready for the U.S. Open this week as the golf world heads to Oakmont. Joining me, as always, when we talk about golf, the great Dan DeMartini of the PGA Tour. Dan, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on here. And obviously, scheduling did not work out for us at the PGA. We're back here for the U.S. Open. Can you catch up what's happening in the golf world besides the fact that at one point last week, Scotty Scheffler won as many turns the Rockies had won games in a month?
I mean, even if you have been avoiding watching any golf, it feels like all sports fans are just aware of the absolute tear that Scotty Scheffler is on again. And it's crazy because you would kind of think started off a little bit slower than usual this season, but he quickly found his form. It feels like at times he's the only one that is making golf look easy while everybody else is just trying to get through a round. Scotty is thriving. There's so many people that are just comparing the run he's on right now. You can't turn on social media or look at anything without the comparisons to Tiger and kind of the dominance that he's showing right now and how much he's under par while the rest of them, or the medians of these fields, are all considerably over par. And it's just crazy. Golf just seems so easy when you're Scotty Scheffler right now. So other than that, and once again the absolute dominance that he's showing out there, and taking a deserved break this week with the RBC Canadian Open going on and Canada's National Open, which is a wonderful tournament being played up at TPC Toronto on the PGA Tour. There's quite a few things that are going on in the major golf world, and especially with the PGA Tour. We announced recently that there will be some changes to the Tour Championship and the format. So for those that aren't aware, the Tour Championship for the last several years have integrated a starting stroke situation for the top 30 players that make it to the final event in the PGA Tour and FedEx Cup playoffs, where the leader would be at 10 under, and then second would go to 9 under, and so forth, all the way down. Well, those starting strokes have now been eliminated. So that it will be a true 72-hole stroke play event where the winner will win the Tour Championship. And there will be some considerations made to how the playoffs run, kind of from a payout perspective, because obviously the FedEx Cup comes with winning the Tour Championship. So it's going to be great. It'll make it easier for fans to tune in and follow. But for the most part, Tour Championship is obviously a great culmination. They're going to make it a little bit more difficult of a setup because some of the research that's been going on is that fans, while it's always fun to watch a tournament that goes to 25, 26 under par, a lot of fans, especially golf fans, like to see the professionals struggle the same way that the casual golf fan does. And they want more scores closer to par rather than, seeing a guy at 1 under or 1 over seems to be a little bit, and struggling to do so, seems to be more of an interest. So we're definitely looking at that, and that was part of this fan-forward research project that's been going on with PGA Tour. So we're excited to try to make it even a harder test to win the FedEx Cup and to win the Tour Championship.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a couple.
Yeah, I say for sure. I think fans who want the hard, low score golf here, this is their tournament. The U.S. Open always tries to make it as tough on these guys as possible. And Oakmont, we have not been here in a little bit. So what can you tell me about Oakmont?
Yeah, and I'll absolutely tell you that everything that you're seeing and hearing from the players that have gone and done a practice round, Oakmont is going to play. Traditionally, it's one of the hardest courses. There's a lot of people who feel like it's the only golf course who is constantly ready to host a U.S. Open, even if it's at a moment's notice. It is always that difficult, and it's going to play that way. There's been some reports of Rory and Shane Lowry and a bunch of people, Adam Scott, that have gone and played practice rounds there and have said that the rough is basically above your ankle. The greens are basically like putting on glass. Someone referred to them as a tilted basketball court. That is how they do not water them. They are cut. They are incredibly difficult to hold a shot on. And, this is going to be an absolute nightmare for players who cannot put the ball in the fairway. I mean, the rough, your ball will disappear into the rough, and you will be penalized for even being maybe even 10 yards off the fairway. Maybe even 5 yards off the fairway, you're in trouble. So it's going to be an absolute bloodbath next week at Oakmont. Oakmont is really a special place. It's now the 10th playing of the U.S. Open, the last one being in 2016, and it's going to be an absolute test at U.S. Open level. So even if you're just tuning in to have, if you haven't watched a ton of golf this year and you really just want to see a lot of players, the best players in the world, even some long shot players who have had to, it was a very grueling qualifying period this year for a lot of players that have been trying to get into the field. It's going to be hard. You're going to wonder whether they really needed to fight to get into this field, because it's just going to be could be a very deflating week for players that are playing incredibly well on other courses.
Yeah, that's true here. And obviously our reigning champ here, we're looking at this. We got Bryson DeChambeau won last year, and obviously he is the science golfer. He likes to, approach this more strategically than a lot of physically science golfers do. Bryson on this course will be interesting. See if he can follow up here and do it again.
You know what's interesting about Bryson? I've watched a lot of him. I think everybody always kind of knows him as, this big hitter, right? He can just crush the ball off the tee and do some incredible things. But with the most understated portion of his game is his ability to scramble. I actually have always been really impressed with his ability. If he does miss or he puts himself in a bad spot, he can really make par from anywhere. And he's going to need to, and they're all going to need to. Rory and Scotty and Ludwig and Colin and Victor and all these guys, if they want to win this one, they're going to have to be able to say, okay, my drive didn't make it into the fairway. I've got to do whatever it takes not to make bogey here. So how do I just get myself back into play close enough so that I can put it close and try to make a par? And unfortunately, this course is not going to allow you to lay up or take, say, okay, I'm just going to get back in the fairway and then try to put one on the green and make a putt. It's not going to be that simple. I think I saw a report that Rory said on a par 4, he hit 3 great shots during his practice round, but he took a 7. So Rory McIlroy, who's having, a career year right now, reigning Masters champion, is taking a 7 on a par 4, where he said he hit good shots. You know how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah, that's true here. And let's go some of these top contenders. You mentioned Rory here, and obviously finally wins the Masters, plays pretty well after that. Obviously he ran to the Scheffler buzzsaw. How do you think Rory does this week?
I want to believe that he's done the work. He's all the pressure is off, right? He's in such a good spot now mentally from if you're looking just purely on paper at what kind of a year he's had. You would say he would go in this with a clear head, able to attack, but play conservative where he needs to and give himself a really good chance. So my perspective is that he's in the best situation. He has nothing to prove, right? And that's a good place to be in when you're in the world. That's how Scotty Scheffler keeps winning everything. He's got nothing else to prove. He's winning tournament after tournament. He plays so relaxed and calm, but you do have to prepare. And everybody wants majors, and they want to win, and they want the history, and they want everything that comes with being that reigning champion. And he's going to want some payback as well for what happened last year. So Oakmont is a true challenge. He's going to have to make some adjustments, and that's why these top players are sneaking in the practice rounds where they can get them, and really playing on a golf course that is very different from what they've played, kind of elsewhere around the PGA Tour and the other tours out there. So it's a special, unique week. So I really hope everybody can tune in, and you hope that Rory's ready for it, and I think he will be.
Yeah, and Scotty too at the US always gonna be interesting here because he's been flirting with the top of the leaderboard a few times now. At 21 to 23 stretch, he went T7, T2, and 3, and then he struggled last year here. He's playing as well as anybody here. How do you think he does on this course?
Scotty's gonna figure it out. I hate to say it, he's just so good right now. It's Scotty versus the field, right? Like, he's shown that every single week that he goes out there, even if he's not in the lead after round one, if you see his name anywhere near like the top 20 after the first round or two, he's gonna keep creeping. He's gonna figure it out. He's gonna make adjustments. He's gonna keep going. He's just a machine. And I think he's going to do really well. I think he's going to drive and he's going to put himself in the fairway. I think he's going to figure out the greens and make adjustments. His putting stroke is just so smooth. And once again, any single one of these players can go out there and have a great round going and then hit make a triple bogey. But I just see Scotty as a guy who's going to, when everybody else starts falling apart, he's going to find a way to, keep the ship afloat. And that's what he does best. And we've seen it time after time. We saw it at the PGA Championship, and, we'll see how this continues.
Yeah, we might talk about some of the big guys. Who are some of the other top contenders you're watching this week?
I really, really like Colin Morikawa because we talk about driving accuracy and we talk about iron play. And he's somebody who I really think that, this is a good golf course for him to, if he can make putts, I feel like he's going to give himself the best chances to make birdie and stay around even par, if not a few better. I don't see him imploding the same way some other guys' games might be more volatile. I think Matt Fitzpatrick is really trending as well right now. I think he's a guy who will play conservative and give himself a really good chance. So I really do like him. Sam Burns is having a very quiet but really strong year. And I think that he's a guy who could surprise some people and catch fire at the right time. And then you've got those guys that are really consistent. I like Corey Connors. I like Russell Henley. I love Sepp Straka. Guys that are having really, really good years. They're not going to necessarily go 22, 23 under par on a given week. But when the tournaments, when the golf courses play really, really tough, they find a way to be 5, 4, 5, 6 under par where everybody else is over par. And they don't have a lot of variation in their game. So those are the names that I like.
Yeah, for sure. We'll go sleepers as well here, because obviously I always do this for people who are not at top of mind, who could make some noise this week. I have one, too, I'll throw out here to you, see if you have thoughts on this.
Yeah, who do you like?
I was looking back the last time the U.S. Open was at Oakmont in 2016, and one Shane Lowry was T2 that year, so you wonder if his familiarity with the course and success to him maybe gives him a little mental boost going into this week. Yeah,
and once again, he there's a great article out there. If I won't spoil it for everybody, but if you want, type in Shane Lowry Oakmont practice round and see what he did and what happened. But yeah, you're right. He's definitely a guy who I think the moment is not too big for. I think it's a great sleeper. I think that there are some other guys that can surprise as well. Like, I'm always a fan of Ben On's game. I think that Ben is the kind of guy who, whenever there's a major championship, I feel like his name quickly creeps into the top 10. I like, from just a consistency standpoint, a guy like a Brian Harmon, because while he doesn't hit it the furthest on PGA Tour, he's very accurate. And I think that will give him a lot of good chances to be consistent. And then I like Akshay. Obviously, Akshay, no moment is too big for him. And I would say, while people know his name, I would definitely consider him a sleeper, but a very strong sleeper.
All right, that's for sure here. Last thing, as always, here, like, if it seems like right now we're in the part of the golf season where now it's going to be Scotty or the field who's going to win a tournament here. Like, are you on the Scotty side or you're on the field side?
That's a really hard one. I feel like I said this so many times, and I hate to say it, but I've been right a lot of the time you just take Scotty Scheffler and walk away, right? Yeah. I'm going to go with the field on this one, not because Scotty plays poorly, but I don't know. I'm trying to keep it fresh and different. I think maybe somebody who gets out to a good lead early and then can just try to stay around even. I don't know what the weather outlook will be, but depending on, your tee times or whatever it is, I do think that there's a chance that maybe, somebody gets a morning window where the greens are a little bit slower and can kind of find a little traction early. And maybe that's the kind of thing. Maybe it is, whatever the number is on opening round, it never really gets too much lower than that. It becomes more of a survival situation. But yeah, do I think that Scotty's going to be in the hunt? Absolutely. But I don't know, just for the fun of saying it, I'm going to take the field.
Yeah. I think the field's probably the smart play with considering this is a U.S. Open and like you were saying earlier about Rory McIlroy, like going out and saying like, I hit I hit a bunch of good shots. I should have had a 4. I got a 7. So like, all it takes is like 1 or 2 of those for Scotty. He like can find himself in a big hole.
You never know. And the course, Oakmont's incredibly unforgiving. It's got some of the coolest holes out there. It's got the church pew bunkers that are super famous. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to me. I know that Scotty is obviously off this week and resting and preparing and whatnot, and his game is as good as it could be. So maybe I should be smacking myself in the back of the head for taking the field. And it's like, come on, the answer's right in front of you. But I don't know. I'll just keep it fun and just take the field.
All right, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to follow you on social media. How can I do that?
Yeah, DMart207, and definitely will be, following along. It's always this is a great time of year as people all around the country are starting to play more and more golf as the weather's starting to get a little bit better. And, I hope everybody goes out, plays around, and then gets with their families and friends and can watch some great golf.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem.